Solar Media.
We are now to the letter of support for accreditation. Councillor Emmer.
Make a motion that council direct administration draft a letter of support for mayor or deputy mayor's signature for the accreditation application for the High Prairie District Museum and Historical Society, recognizing them as the official community visitor information center of the town of High Prairie.
Discussion.
Good idea.
Great idea. And good luck to whoever has to fill out the application. It's pretty straightforward.
Tick, 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 tick.
That's
what I thought.
Next.
All those in favor? Approved. And on we go. Oh, gotta get my bifocal down. Councillor Dinac.
The council approved building permit 012015 applied for by the Children's Resource Council at 5709 51st Avenue under the conditions that the developer must obtain a building permit and other permits required by Safety Codes Council and meet all safety requirements, comply with the Town of High Prairie Land Use Bylaw number 20/2005, and also comply with the Town Council's decision at the April 14th, 2015 regular meeting.
Discussion. Councillor Epter.
Do we have a process for the development permit numbers? I just noticed that this one's 30-2014, so I thought maybe it was applied for in the year 2014, but then I noticed the application date's January 28th. So I didn't know if it worked like our bylaws do, where it's always with the year, and if maybe we just followed, you know. So the previous one was 29-2014, so they just threw 30-2014. I don't know what the process is.
This is 012215,
Where are you looking?
recommended action.
Well, the development permit number we have is 30-2014 on the application.
Oh, okay.
They don't match.
Yeah.
Okay, you filled out wrong the 01/2015.
That should be 01-2015.
Yeah.
Okay. I was also curious though that it's classified as a renovation. I don't know how to classify it when they're relocating a modular building and they're adding it to the property and then extending services to it.
An addition?
Well, a 7,600 square foot addition? So the 7,600 square feet, I think, is the two buildings together?
Yeah.
So it's an addition, but it's not an addition because it's going at the back of the lot, if I remember from a previous application. Right?
And it does say that's what they'll be doing, is adding the modular unit to the property.
But, I mean, I don't know if, in the past though, I've seen like they've given us little site plans. And the one that we had previously, where the old where the house furniture building is, their building, at the back end of the lot on the south end, running east-west, was where the modular building was going. So it's not really an addition. It's a second building on the same property.
Are they tying it into that building?
That's my understanding. I'm not exactly sure. That's what I think is happening, right? They're gonna run with the same set of services, just extend them out to this other building. So the application, I'm just not clear on.
Yeah, there's no site.
There's no site plan, there's, the square footage threw me off, cause then I thought, well, maybe they're gonna butt it up and make it an addition. But then I see the value is only 150,000. I think the property was up for $500,000 when it was for sale, or 400,000. So that 150 seemed a little low to me, so I thought maybe they're only talking about the modulars
They're only
worth
talking about
150.
the modular, because the square footage is larger on that main building than what they're talking about here.
It's larger than 7,600?
Pretty sure.
Could be, I don't know.
Yeah,
That
it's like
modular is not
8,500 or something.
7,600 though. There's no way.
Don't know.
So I'm not sure.
But yeah, I think the House of Furniture building was more like an 8,500 or something standalone, so you can't even include that. Do you know anything, Bill?
Not about that.
So the question is, where is this modular going? Is this going where the old, or whereabouts on the lot is it, the modular gonna be sitting?
The proper setbacks, just off from the fence.
this is where the satellite dishes used to be in that little yard and out to the north of the building?
So,
South of the building.
So it's along 50th Ave is where it's going.
Yeah.
Running with the property line, or
Well, again, we don't have a site map, so we really don't know. Mr. Walker?
the only thing that I know over there is we've had discussions about services with Lindsay, and the building is supposed to go fairly close to the existing building.
It is a,
Yeah.
so it's
Because
not like the
otherwise-
first map.
Otherwise, they can't service it. There are no services on 50th Ave.
You know, you know,
No, I'm,
economics. Right here. 0707, 4707's the two lots. And then on the south end is what the original site plan was last year.
oh, yeah, I was thinking
I
of
don't
a
know.
totally different lot. Thank
Oh.
you.
I don't know where, what is the permit process? Is there supposed to be a site plan and a,
We could have a site plan because then you see the visual, right?
yeah?
So,
But is that part of the policy? Is that what's supposed to happen, or is this sufficient?
This isn't even signed. Is it supposed to be signed by anybody? I mean, it's got homeowner signature, permit applicant signature, permit applicant name. There's no signatures. Does it have to be signed?
this is from Superior, right? It's not from us.
That's from.
No, it's not. It's from Denise, isn't it?
Superior Safety Codes. They're getting the building permits.
So they submitted this to Superior, Superior forwarded it to us.
No, Superior's just wrote out on their form an application.
So it wasn't Denise that filled this out? Denise Willier from CRC?
No,
I think I may have to get more information on this. Yeah.
excuse me.
I think I
That'd be
should-
hard to approve something.
Yeah,
without
no, I
having
agree.
it in writing.
I thought Kelly was going to be here to speak a little bit more to it.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
let me get
then-
more,
Yeah.
we need some comfort.
You may wanna point out, it's
Yeah.
actually, is it 4707? When I look at his map, the reason I'm bringing it up now
Yeah.
is, it's 4707 and on the application it says 4709. So, I don't know if it'll make a difference or not, but you may as well just correct that too while we can.
So we have a motion on the floor. We can either defeat the vote.
Well, I would wonder why it says 5709 51st Avenue as part of your motion.
Oh, typo, I guess.
Yeah, I think we need to increase the information that we need to do some more work.
Councillor Denier.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay.
Perfect.
Make a motion.
I'll
Counselor
make a
Burnett.
motion that we receive this for information and that administration, talk to the CRC about getting more information, or more complete application. The other question I had, when we do anything like this, just is, do we not talk about, I don't know what this modular looks like, what
Yeah.
it's gonna be there, but shouldn't there be something about the finishing has to be such and such, or do we have any?
It's basically what they're doing is they're moving that modular that's over by the Nazarene Church behind the CRC building.
Yeah,
That's what they're doing.
but at some point we should have, I'm just wondering something about, it has to be finished in such a way, cause it's not talking about that, right? They could bring something in and it's gonna be plywood and,
Would have to comply
Deteriorate.
with our land use bylaw.
But we have the land use bylaw.
Then it
says
has to be within a certain
fencing.
age, it has to be a certain, setback or whatever.
Yeah,
And it should be also up to a standard. Because I think we actually put in a bylaw that mobile homes from X year
Yeah, it can't
age,
even count.
X are no longer allowed to be brought into the town.
Yeah,
so
like
we
the
do
phone.
have that in place in
In-
another act?
In the land use bylaw.
Oh, yeah.
So
It
they
is
have to
there? Okay,
comply with
cause
that.
I was just
And with
thinking that.
And with the new bylaw, you won't have the the luxury of even debating this issue.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it's filled out
Okay.
correctly.
But really, we have to get
No,
a little bit,
this,
cause
yeah,
this
we,
even just says, Kelly, adding a modular to the property. I mean, what modular, where's the modular coming from? Is it a brand new modular, is it an old modular? We know what it is, but this doesn't really explain, you know,
I
like
think-
the approval of a building that could be coming from
That's
Pine Point or something, you know, like,
Mhm.
Well, it's on the motions for information and
yes,
Kelly
I
will
will
get
do more.
information,
I think the
so-
confusion, even for me, is normally it's requesting for a development permit in a direct control. It's talking about building permit. A building permit normally is issued by just superior safety codes, and here we have it at the council meeting, so I need to do some.
Yeah, I
Please.
know what's going on.
Yeah. Please.
All those in favor? Carried. And Municipal Planning Commission, page 185 of your package. Mayor Cox.
The council approved the meeting on the area claim of $400 to James Waco for his attendance at 4 municipal planning commission meetings.
And you received, when you sat down, there was an expense form from Mr. Waco. Councilor Tanaka.
Did he give any explanation as to why he didn't do it for 4 months and just put it all in one? Or for 4 meetings from
9 months,
November, like,
July last year.
yeah,
Mr. Chair, all the non-council members of our committee have never submitted time claim sheets. We owe them money, but some of them are just overlooking it. He realized that it's time to claim it. He knows the policy, that if it's not within a month, it has to come to council. So the other members that are being owed the same amount of money, they never claimed. Why? I don't know. It's an individual decision, right?
I'd strongly suggest that we contact members and inform them that if it's past 30 days, then they may not be paid at all. It comes up to council. We've closed the books on 2014, we've audited at 2014, and now we may owe, it's not a huge amount, let's say it's $600 or $1,000. It's just, it's irritating that it comes back 9 months later. I wish Mr. Wakefield had stayed or had spoken about it as a public delegate. And then after he moved off, I was like, oh, we should have moved that item to the front so he wouldn't have to wait. But hindsight.
Councilor Rose.
in sort of defense of those that, you know, hand a time sheet in late, we're asking for people to volunteer their time. We're struggling to get people to step forward and be part of committees. And we offer them a small amount of money to do that. To actually have to fill in a sheet, to get that sheet in on time, they're work full-time and they have another life. So, I mean, and it's for $100 at a time, and for some people, they will forget that. And then all of a sudden they'll realize, oh darn, I never did that. It's not part of their normal day-to-day procedures. I think actually we should have a recording secretary at a meeting. That should be signed right there and done. We shouldn't be expecting our, especially volunteers, to have to do this on their own over and above. I think that if they're at a meeting, that should just be signed up and a check should be issued. So the fact that he's actually done it, I mean, I know, I hear what you're saying, but I see that other side of it, because people that do have busy lives sometimes will forget, and I think we should just appreciate the fact that we've got people that are stepping forward and becoming part of our groups and committees that we're asking.
Yes, Mike, please.
I can understand what you're saying, but with James, I mean, he was a town councillor for
Yeah,
3
he knows.
terms, he knows the procedure, he was on many committees, he knows the procedure. It's just, why are we dealing with this? Like, this is just irritating.
It's frustrating, but it's dealing with work done and work paid. Mayor Cox.
And I actually agree with Councillor Rose, when these kinds of expense claims in many government meetings, they're just passed around. They're pre-done, they're ahead of time, here, sign here, and it just,
Yeah.
it's done. And so maybe that's just an organizational detail. It should be know anything.
They have to come to the office and ask for one.
But we
Yeah.
expect a lot of
Or maybe they
volunteers.
just expect the check and they don't know they have to fill one
Sometimes
out.
they don't know the policy. They may have gotten, and I think we did send out an email and, you know, and they were given that information, but that's in their, you know, regular work email that probably got, you know, to the bottom of the pile and.
Mhm. Without putting too much more discussion on this one, it's pretty straightforward. Call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Opposed? Oh,
Everybody voted.
good, alright. Oh, you were just getting ready for the, you were getting the guns ready. Boom.
Advance the meeting.
And we are to protective services. No? Counselor Tanaka.
I would like to make a motion based on what Mayor Cox had said regarding the, how would I word that? Any,
Council directs administration to have expense claim forms present at any committee meetings.
not so much expense for, I would like, council directs administration to have sign-in sheets
Timesheets.
at every committee meeting.
But it needs to be the timesheet so that they sign it so that it's their payroll. So it should be the timesheet.
Let's see that in.
Then it's a legal document, right?
That's what.
It says that-
Because if
That's
you
our
have a
procedure.
sign-up
Yeah,
sheet,
it's
it says
operational
you're there.
matter. It's operational.
It's operational.
Yeah, we've had.
It's operational, let,
Yeah.
figure out how you're
Yes.
gonna do it.
Okay, I
But
make
to
a
me-
Fix
motion
it.
to direct council directs administration to come up with a form to be used at every committee meeting.
It's operational.
What he's saying is his operation is none of your business. He'll just
So we
look
don't
after
have
it.
to make a motion,
Don't do
okay.
it.
So
Okay.
next time it comes, we can say to him, why didn't you do this?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, just like, you come in to expedite the process.
all right,
Thank you. Okay, we got that one done?
yeah, that's done, we're good now.
Okay, 5D Protective Services Peace Officer Report, page 187.
The council received for information the March 2015 report of the senior peace officer, and then council received for information the March 2015 report of the fire chief as presented.
Oh, he's getting old.
I'll just sit here, yeah.
That's a good one.
What'd you do?
Legs asleep. Come on, Ken, give him a hand.
There, come back,
And you were getting ready to run.
Shake it off, shake it off. Oh, it did pop.
Sorry, Con.
That was great.
A bit of levity always hurts.
Yeah. Obviously with the summer or spring upon us, unsightlies are increasing. Obviously with the snow melt and all the garbage strewn around. So I'm dealing with unsightlies on a more or less a daily basis now, but it's better than it has been in the past. Just for council's info, that once we signed that agreement with the MD for the weed inspector. So within the next month, we're going to be sending out pamphlets with utility bills again, notifying all property owners that we're going to be diligent this year and we're going to be inspecting and we're going to be spraying, or asking the property owners to spray first. If not, then the MD will be coming in. Especially with the vacant, bigger size lots that are,
Good job.
so we're going to be working closely with the MD on this. And it's going to be dealt with before Thistle gets 4 feet high this year. And plus, we're going to be monitoring the back alleys too quite a bit. So other than that, routine daily patrols, 14 complaints out of the 14, 10 were bylaw related. That ranged from unsightly to dogs at large, and semi-trucks parked off the truck road. I don't know, any questions? Like, for that, it's pretty much straightforward.
Perfect. I thanked Officer Bloom earlier. I really enjoyed the report, lots of bylaw detail information. At our last council meeting, I don't believe I talked to you about it, I think you had left already, but I talked to Mr. Tamaco and one of his staff members about a vehicle with a flat tire that's been parked in the same spot for about 5 months.
Okay.
I see it's still there, so I thought I'd talk to you. It's basically on the corner of 47th Street and 55 Ave. It's an old Chevy. It's
Okay.
beat up. It's got a sign there.
Yep.
I don't even think it's got a license plate anymore. It's been there seriously for about 5 months.
Okay.
And stuff happens, right? But it's long enough. I know who the owner is, but I'll offline.
Are we ready to put out the flashing speed
Yes.
signs yet? So are you going to leave them out? Just chain them up to?
Yes, I will.
And
Yep.
just leave them? I guess if they walk away, they, although I have no idea who would steal them,
Why
but,
they would want them.
Yeah, exactly.
but,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, are we hiring?
Tell me what you want me to do.
I believe
Budget
we are,
passed.
yes.
You've got the money in that,
Yep.
Yeah.
so,
We're just looking for direction for the passing of the operating budget.
and it got passed, right?
Yes.
So it'll be in the newspaper tomorrow.
Okay.
Newspapers.
So then we will,
Then go to the MD.
and we'll go to the MD and we'll start negotiations with using part of them, and then we're gonna continue with Jubileeville, or not Jubileeville.
I call Adele Parker CEO.
Yeah.
And so Alan and I need to figure out what their cost recovery to really charging them for.
Cost
good amount.
recovery plus.
Yeah. Eh?
Cost recovery
Because,
plus.
okay, so I've talked to Adele already, so she's expecting us to do some work. Alan and I get back to them so that that money can offset.
Any other discussion? Any other questions?
Signs at the skate park, are they up?
There's, yep, they're up. Video surveillance ones are up. We've put up equipment for the skate park. If not wearing it, you have to have adult supervision.
Oh, okay. Is it working?
No.
Yes and no. Every time I walk through there, and this is probably my fault, but the kids that keep asking me for, well, last year we were handing out,
Helmets.
not helmet, but
A&W.
A&W gift cards.
Coupons and stuff.
Coupons. So I'm gonna start doing that and hopefully get some more compliance with the safety equipment.
That's good. That's positive. On the way here tonight, there were 9 children using it. Not one was wearing a helmet.
I actually drove by to it, took a look.
Well, it was on the way here, right? I drive by on the way. I counted it. 9 and 0.
But
So
they're
they-
using it.
They have to walk right by that sign. It's at both entrances. So I think it might alleviate the town's, some of the town's liability. If something serious enough happens with a child that, like a brain injury, hopefully not, but
Yeah.
they can't say they weren't warned. And plus, there's a 4x8 sheet of plywood, there was stuff on it. We're going to move it from the fence and put it on some posts, so they can actually see it as they're making a tour around the skate park.
Okay.
So if you actually stop and if you saw those 9 children there without helmets, would you ask them all to leave and go get a helmet? Or would you just look the other way?
Well, on occasion I've looked the other way, but sometimes I've went there and, but I'd have to sit there on a
Yeah.
I just think
As soon as
those
they
are-
left,
Right, but when they see you, we should at least tell them that they can't be using it without a helmet, if there's not super, like, even if you know that as soon as you walk away, they're gonna turn around and come back. Because otherwise the signs mean nothing,
Can you ticket or fine a minor?
but you can
Well,
tell them
under
to stop
12,
using
yeah.
the facility without.
anybody over 12,
But how do you enforce it? It means, basically, every time he drives by now, he's gonna have to stop, get out of his vehicle, go talk to some children, and get back in. So the easy way with that is avoid that corner,
There we go.
right? Well, seriously, every time you drive by, you're gonna see at least one without a helmet. And so there goes another 15, 20 minutes.
And
every
maybe
time.
once in a while you see one more with a helmet.
well, once I start handing out some coupons,
Yes, the positive, I think, will help. My children loved it when they got little drink coupons.
yeah, and there's more and more, complaints, I guess, that are gonna start coming in about bullying, like with the amount of kids there and the different age groups. It's already happening. The bigger children are all,
And again, that comes back down to the parent's responsibility. If you're sending a young child to a skateboard park that's multi-use and multi-aged, and you don't wanna supervise your child that you send out there without a helmet, mom, dad, smarten up.
Yeah.
You know, like, so kids will get picked on, it's unfortunate, and so parents have to be more responsible and attentive to that sort of environment. It's not our responsibility, it is the responsibility of the parents, and if they don't, it's sad.
I really think we need to, get the,
Didn't we have a motion to get them in here?
we talked about it at the last meeting, the meeting before I had brought it up saying that we should, but I'd like to make a motion that council directs administration to contact the
Sports Complex Society, we already did that.
skate park society,
Sports Complex Society.
and invite them to, preferably the next council meeting to see what ideas they have to deal with the upcoming problems that we're gonna be seeing.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I've talked to Angelo a little bit, and they basically, from their perspective, they are coming to do the sodding of it, and basically after that, it's the town and it's up. They're not looking to run that skateboard park. That's their take on it. It's,
Well,
they
I
developed it, they
honest-
put the money towards it.
They were pretty
That's-
clear about that too, all through the fundraising.
Well, I know what you're saying, we're not expecting you to run it, but I would hope that through their contacts with the children or their kids, that they would be interested in maybe starting some kind of a club. And the club should be policing that facility in some way. I mean, if they want to get events in here, they're going to need some kind of an organization. And that would be up to those young people with their parents helping them, so they can do their own little skateboard.
I was at the Grand Prairie Sports Expo, I guess, last weekend, and they have a skateboard association, and I was talking to the young guy there, just out of curiosity about what we could do here, right? I was wondering if they could maybe put on a clinic, or know of somebody who could come in here and put on a clinic for safety, for improving your skills, you know, the whole thing. And we might get more compliance that way too, but obviously, I don't know if the skateboard society would wanna do that, or who would do it, but.
Well, I think those youth, that's a youth club. and that youth club with parents involvement, and it doesn't have to be a lot,
Yeah.
would be the ones that do that. And I think that it would be very popular having that type of a clinic coming in. So,
Not only skateboards, but the bike, BMX
Yeah.
bikes, well, I guess the scooters are getting more popular too.
You would think there'd be somebody that would, you know, would be in the equipment selling industry that would probably do that. You know, they could come in with their own, have that opportunity to sell a truckload of helmets and
Yeah.
and guards and all that kind of stuff, and do some demonstrations. Like, I know that we saw that in Grand Prairie when we were there, but they actually did demonstrations in their skate park. And it was all with safety gear and using and showing, you know, kids how to do things and with the safety gear on, so. But it was one of like Dark Flavor or one of those skateboard shops that put it on, because then between buying skateboards and
Yeah.
safety equipment, they got some spin off, right?
Right, exactly.
So moving off the skateboard park, I was just wondering, we sent a bill for a contractor to clean up, and the bill was sent to the owner,
Yes.
and did they pay it? I'm just curious, is that?
He came and talked to me. He thought, well, he asked if I could, maybe forgive it this time. And I said, I'd look into it, but I haven't got back to him yet. But,
But they're always sent usually a notice first before they're
Yeah.
actually sent one, so this
Exactly.
isn't the first time, right?
Right.
This is
No, this is-
ongoing.
and, yeah, they're given a week to rectify it themselves. If they don't, then that's when the contractor goes in and so
And who pays for the contractor if he doesn't?
goes onto his property tax.
So no matter what, he's still paying?
Eventually, yeah.
Okay, now I was just thinking that if he was asking for forgiveness and the town would pick up the tab instead of him.
Right.
you know.
How much was it? Just curious to clean up.
$130.
And I'm also curious about how is the dog licensing going, cause you got a new due date of April 1st, that's
Yeah,
come and gone.
That's coming in my April report, but out of the 65, I've sent out 12 municipal tickets, and they're due, well, they get 30 days to comply. If not, then it gets a little more serious.
There's only 65?
Out of 65? 12. 12.
There's only 65 licensed,
No, those were the 65 that didn't renew,
didn't renew? Okay.
but once they got the notice,
Yeah.
40 or 53 came in, and 12 were sent municipal tickets.
Great.
And they're coming in slowly, but some have moved their dogs out of town, some have given them away, so until we know that, the tickets stand.
Right. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
My motion is still on the floor.
we have a
No,
motion.
we made a motion.
They're both as one.
yours is coming out.
Oh, okay.
I'm older now, so I'm gonna.
Alright, not by much. Greater than me.
But anyway,
Or-
as you can see, March has been fairly quiet for us. We only had 9 emergency calls all month. 7 of those were in town, and unfortunately 5 of those were false alarms. So, 4 of them were to the same residence. The residence is going to get billed, so whether we get paid or not, I don't know.
How many, of the 4 visits, will they get billed for 1, 2, 3?
Well, they'll get billed first offense, second offense, third offense.
Okay. Curious also, why would the hospital bother calling you for assistance during normal business hours?
I don't know.
That it's a head shaker to me. You've
That's-
got 60 people that work there,
That's right.
and a lot of them are big boys too.
So why they call on a bunch of volunteers to leave their place of work to go and
Yeah.
do a lift assist is beyond me, but I was out of town this weekend and Trevor just told him that we weren't gonna respond, and so I think that's a good thing. And then we had the automobile fire at 511663, that's Herman Minderland, used to be the treasurer here at town. He was trying to get his motorhome going, and he got it going.
Yeah.
He was changing the fuel filter, and then he was priming a carburetor with gas, trying to start it, and of course it backfired and caught fire. And by the time we got there, the side of the house was on fire. We'd gone up the siding and up into the soffits, and it was up in the attic. And I still can't believe that we actually got it out with very minimal damage. There was a spot maybe about that big in the bedroom where the water had soaked through the drywall, but other than that, there was no damage to the interior of the house. I don't know how we did it, but we did it. So I gotta give my crew credit for that. So. But basically, that's it. A couple of grass fires and tanker rollover. This tanker rollover came in as an oil spill, so we went out there expecting the worst because they said there was oil leaking. When we got there was oil leaking, but it was just a little bit of oil out of the engine. So
A couple of years.
I mean, it was just leaking out of the dipstick of the engine, so we just cleaned that up and came back to town, basically.
The discussion you had with the manager at the Peavine Inn, did you bring up how people are not allowed to sleep in hallways, block hallways, emergency exits? In the future, you will be ticketed?
Yeah, and the alarm went off, somebody pulled the alarm switch or the,
Yeah.
and of course, they immediately went to the panel and silenced the panel, which is against the law, they're not allowed to do that. They didn't do any evacuation of the building. We could just proceed with normal, everyday routine business the way it was, and the alarm was up on the 4th floor. We went up to the 4th floor. There was people sleeping in the hallways. There was plastic wrappers from mattresses. You know, the mattresses come wrapped in plastic bags, or there was 3 of those laying in the hallway. People had to walk around them to get down the hall. What they were doing in the hallways, I have no idea. By the time we left there, we were so frustrated, we just shook our heads and just, like, let's get out of here, like,
So
one
were-
more day to go with the,
Were tickets issued?
with, pardon me?
Fines issued or tickets or?
Well, I don't know what to do in a case like that, like, what do you
Fine
do?
them, hammer them right to the wall, put a big staple.
The Peavine Inn,
Uh,
right? It's not the people in the hallway. The Peavine Inn has rules that it has to follow.
Absolutely.
yeah, so, I don't know.
Safety
It's just-
codes.
Combustible materials.
Can you imagine if that had been a fire with all those people passed out in the hallway?
Well, true,
Smoke them out.
not just the hallway, but I imagine every room in the
Oh.
hotel was full
And
of
how
the same
packed
kind
it
of
was,
people,
and
so,
probably over limit.
That's why I have absolutely no use for Treaty 8. Personally, I mean, that's not the only problems we had that weekend with Treaty 8. I mean, there was parking issues all over downtown, there was fireworks going off all over town, there were people fighting all over town. So, I mean, that was just a hectic weekend, so I'm just thankful we don't have those every weekend. Anyway, other than that, that's it for my report, I guess.
Mr. Tom.
Mr. Chair, there's one thing I want to mention, I think, and Ken, I think you forgot to add that to your report, but it's one of the most, I think, progressive things that you've started doing within Unsightly.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think that's something worth talking about. And more importantly, when they clean the place, the letters that you send to them, I mean, I think it's something that you might want to touch on.
I did start helping Alan out with the unsightlies, and I've issued 4 of them now, I believe. And the first one I issued, I went back, and the guy's yard is just spotless, immaculate. Before I issued the unsightlies, he was building stuff out of used pallets, and he had used pallets piled like 5 feet above the level of the fence. Behind his shed, he had truckloads of styrofoam blocks stacked up. There was pieces of plywood. There was just literally trash all over the yard. So I approached him and I gave him a letter, a nice letter, asking him to clean up, and I took a copy of the bylaw and I highlighted the sections of the bylaw which pertain to his unsightlies, and he was irate when I first gave it to him. He was going to come to the town office and find out who complained, and I didn't want to tell him it was my wife that complained. But anyway, about
It's now on
3-4
camera.
days later, he
Find out.
started cleaning up, and like he was on his hands and knees in the yard with a magnet picking up nails. Like, it was awesome. And you walk in that yard now, the grass is cut, it's raked along the fence, it's just an immaculate yard. So I sent him a thank you letter on behalf of town and council and protective services, thanking him for what he did, and I think it's probably a start in the right direction. So. We had one other unsightly that I did over here for Colin Chapman, and he had an old vehicle parked in his backyard that's been there for probably 5 years now. It's slowly getting more or smaller and smaller because he's taking parts off it, but I drove by the other day and it's blocked up on a gas drum, 45-gallon gas drum, and I walked over to it. You can move it back and forth, and I mean, you can crawl right underneath it. Kids could crawl underneath it. It could fall on somebody. So I issued him an unsightly letter, and the next day he was here, spoke to Kelly, him and his wife, and I see he is moving it though, so it is getting cleaned up. So good. And when he does move it and get it cleaned up, I'll send him another letter as well. So I think Al and I are both going to start doing the same thing now. We're going to start sending them thank you letters when they're done. Okay. Hopefully it's a step in the right direction.
Only try, man. Any other discussion, any questions? We're good? Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
And page 93, water waste. Oh, sorry, we have a motion on the floor. Yes.
All those in favor?
Sure. All those in favor?
Received the
Thank you.
Then Dawn had another motion.
What?
Did you get it ready? Her other motion?
Direct administration to invite the Sports Complex Society to the next regular council meeting to discuss options regarding potential problems with the skateboard park.
Yes.
All those in favor? Carried. And now, on to page 93 with the wastewater survey.
192?
What happened to pitching?
Yeah, we'll do that one first.
It's the, after the, on the same page
Oh,
as
it's
the,
got it.
after
So-
the fire report.
Yep, so 5B, Public Works Pitching Week 192 on the flip side, 193. Councilor Evans.
I'd like to make a motion that council approve the week of May 4th to 11th, 2015 as pitch-in week in High Prairie and advertised in the Southeast News and on the town's digital sign.
I'm working.
Supposed to be working tomorrow.
Discussion. Any? None?
Yeah. Pitch-in week. It went well last year with the fence.
Yep, we're gonna do some improvements this year. Anybody that brings anything that's reusable, they can identify it, and we're gonna have a separate area. That's one thing we learned from last year and implemented halfway through last year. We'll pretty much try to do the same thing that we did last year. I know there was complaints from area residents about people figuring it was a waste of money because we had people there not doing anything, but you have to be there. So if you get complaints about that, it's just the way it has to be. But it was a lot less disorganized, and it was easier to maintain and clean up last year.
How many times did they empty those big bins?
About 26 times, I think.
Wow.
Were they ever overflowing before
Yeah.
they managed to get them emptied?
No, because we kept them pretty much in control. As soon as they were full, we just stacked it off the side. Trucks come in, took them away, brought another one in, filled it.
So it was well organized then?
Yeah. Maybe the first weekend that they were there, because the bins will actually come in on May the 1st, but the actual pitch-in week, so that entails 2 weekends, because the weekend involved right now is the Mother's Day weekend. So we'll give them an opportunity, from May 1st, 2nd, 3rd, to also do a cleanup, so it's gonna run 10 days.
Great.
Gives them the opportunity for 2 weekends of cleanup.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. And now, Mr. Walker. Councilor Evans.
Council authorize administration to complete the Water North Coalition water wastewater survey and to provide it as information to council by April 28th, 2015.
Under the survey itself, it says, do you have permission from council to fill this out? We didn't have permission from council to fill it out. So, this is why this is here. I've actually already filled it out, but we couldn't present it to you until we actually get permission to fill it out. It's just a generic, basically a standard water survey. I have to submit it online. In order to even print off copies for you, I have to print off an individual, 1 page at a time, then scroll to the next page. So, and there's some of the commentary that's not gonna be visible on the way they have this page set up. It won't be visible, all the commentary, to council on the printed copy.
I'm just curious, what, do we need to see that, Vern? Is there anything in there
There's
that
nothing
we're going to
earth-shattering in it
change
that
or-
I see, no. There was some budgetary stuff of what we felt would be spent in the next 0 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, and so on down the line to 20 to 25 years. That's pretty much it. The rest is all standard operating stuff.
I'm just wondering, instead of coming back to council, if we think we could just send it out by email, and then if anybody had, scan it and
Yep.
send it out by email as opposed to a council item, and then if anybody had a concern, they could.
Or we can
bring it
just
up.
print it off and put it in the mailboxes as well. I've already got copies. I think you still have my copy of it, Kelly?
I do.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
So, Mr. Chair, what do you want that? Should we just make copies and put it on mailboxes, or just to make sure there's no
will
conflict?
council. What do you guys think?
Email
Is that
box
an
for
email?
me is fine.
Yeah, all the motion says is to provide it as information.
Yep.
So putting it in the mailbox is good enough.
I did have to check off of council giving me permission to fill it out
Okay.
because I couldn't proceed any farther until I did.
That's fine.
Alrighty.
And then and I've requested the results of the survey to be sent back to us.
Great.
And after you're done, do the vote.
Well, we have a motion on the floor. Everything about the pitching week and wastewater rather.
Yeah.
Had it on the wrong page. All those in favor? Carry.
I would just like to add that last night I saw on Facebook that there's a young lady that's gonna be doing some cleanup in town. I contacted her last night when I saw that, and we did, I took it upon our Public Works Department to donate some bags and also arrange for pickup of whatever they pick up for disposal. So that's just for your information.
Cool. Thank you very much. You guys doing a great job. Everybody, thank you. On to the CAO's report. Mr. Conlon.
Make a motion that council receive the CAO Kelly Tamaco's written and verbal report and action list for information.
Thanks, guys.
We're losing them all, eh?
We're getting
Not
here.
on my flies.
Councilor Denier.
I just have a question on the auction. In the motion that was made in January, not less than 90% of the appraised value for the auction properties, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I believe you had told us the properties were worth 60-some thousand. So how does 90% of the appraised value equate to one being sold for $17,000?
So what was given to you was the assessed value.
It was the assessed value.
And it's incidentally normally the appraised value, sometimes, most times a little higher than the assessed value.
Yeah.
But in this particular, and assessed value, there's a conglomeration measurement of average of houses. The appraised value is specific to that house. So the motion was to take not less than 90% of the appraised value, which is what we use for the market value. So the appraised value was about $23,000, and 90% was about 17,001.
Okay,
17,000.
now,
The appraised value was 21,000.
21,000, yeah, thank you.
Who did the appraisals?
Vega and Carroll.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's that low.
No, that,
But it's a distressed sale, and really the condition, I guess, I'm as surprised that
a
they.
value of a lot is $40,000
And it's sort of in.
to 100, depending on the next lot,
Not
right?
in
Not
that
necessarily
area.
in that area.
Not in that area.
A service lot though is about 40,000. I don't know which property we're talking about either because
It's
The mobile
in
home.
lot plan.
across from the Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, in that sort of Sesame
To
Street
the-
area.
to the
mobile
east?
home.
To the north.
To the north of the Kingdom
Does it-
Hall.
It backs on the alley that runs between Fairgrounds Field and the road.
Oh, it's, okay, it's 59 Birch Crescent.
And here is half a lot, a full lot would be about 40, half a lot is about the same, the
It's
price.
like a 33.
And then a good measurement is how come, if it was that low, how come the second one wasn't bought? I mean, for land. So I think the process was good. We didn't know what the values were. We just said the 90% of the appraised value. So there was no bias or nobody knew. And we followed the process to the T. So I'm very, very happy with the way it was done. What Councillor Rose did mention was the fact that maybe we might need to augment the advert with a policy. So instead of just the Gazette and the South Peace News, maybe a policy to say maybe we'll advertise this way, advertise that way, we'll advertise that way. And it's a policy that should come from council as to how auctions should be advertised, in addition to what we have in the MGA. But that's community-based. Yeah, sorry.
Yep.
Okay, now, just going back to this motion, and Brian, you probably would know because you made the motion, but was it not by sealed bid?
Well, I know that we talked about having a sealed bid process. I was surprised that it was a live auction, but that was just talk. It obviously never was in the motion. I can't
Okay,
remember it being.
for some reason I thought, geez, I'm sure the motion said.
Yeah.
But what difference would it have made? I mean, when I say sealed bid, because the MGA says public auction, so there must be a value to why you want a sealed. I don't know what advantage is or not, right?
I think when we discussed it, the sealed bid auction was to alleviate costs, because I remember the conversation was about hiring an auctioneer versus having a sealed bid auction where we just made a request. You advertise in the paper, you make a request, people send in a bid, they have so long to send in a bid, and then you just open them all together. So I think we did have that discussion, but I mean, obviously there was a lot of discussion about that at the time, and I think it was more to alleviate the hiring of an auctioneer, because I never imagined that we'd be running an auction on our own. I thought we'd be hiring like a local auction service. And that would go back to the advertising, that I think that people in our area are used to, if there's an auction, whether it's a land auction or an equipment auction, there's usually some signage, and then maybe they didn't read it in the paper, but they drive by the sign, and then they say, oh yeah, that auction, and maybe they're gonna have that opportunity to remember that it exists.
Yeah. Councilor.
Curious, if the property was appraised at 21, the 90% value is 18.9.
Okay, then it was 19, I can't remember. I thought
Even
about a copy
lower?
of the appraisal, because I went in to see Kelly today.
That's what I
about the
say.
appraisal.
I mean, it's
It was
19,000.
19,000.
Are there information?
There's two different approaches. There was a,
Yeah.
a direct approach to value, market approach, and they're all within a few dollars, like 1,000 or so.
I'm very surprised, because usually an assessment is lower than the actual value.
But a property that goes for tax sale is usually one that's distressed and hasn't been kept up, right? And Kelly's right, the assessed value is based on everybody randomly has exactly the same property. It's like, you know, a $250,000 house, you remodeled the kitchen and spent $10,000 and your neighbor hasn't done that, right? You're gonna get the same assessed value whether or not you remodel the kitchen or not.
But on a financial institution repoed house, they are still legally bound to sell it for a market value, not a distressed, not a rush sale or anything like that. A
I'm
court
just saying
will
the house
actually-
is distressed, I'm not saying the value, because
Yeah.
usually people have abandoned it and it's not in good condition and it's run down, and so the value when you get an appraiser, I mean, I agree with you, I was shocked at the value, and then I started looking at it, I looked at both of the appraisals, cause I was sort of surprised at the low values.
The person who got it had to put all new windows, new doors, everything in it.
Oh, yeah. What was the value of the other property on the
30,
appraisal?
30,
How much?
33,
Nobody bought it.
and nobody even made a bid. But again, that may go to advertising, and that we need to make sure that.
No awareness or?
So can we
whatever?
make a motion out of this to sort of deal, or no?
I mean, Mr. Chair, there's a laid out I've got very educated. I mean, you have to follow it to the T. I mean, and I got so educated by it. The MG is very clear what a public auction is, who can do the auction. Normally it's the CEO or a designated person. And the processes are very, very clear. And I try to lay it out here so that at least people become aware of it's not something that you just, because there are legal issues. The monies that we get are not ours in total. The arrears have to be paid, the legal fees are paid, administration, the rest has to go back to the owner. We have to ensure that the property is being sold at a fair market value for the sake of the owner, not for the sake of the town. So at the end of the day, we are not shortchanging that person because they are powerless and they haven't paid. We have to be fair to them. The fairness is to use the market value. And appraised value, market value is what people are prepared to buy something for. And appraised value is just an estimate. So I can assure you that we went
So
through.
do we still own the second property then?
Yeah, and we can't do anything for a year.
The second property, what we're doing is, again, there's a process to that. I've talked to the lawyers, I have some options. Safety code is coming in I got it done today. So they came in at 5 o'clock today. And they want to look at all the safety measurements, whether it meets safety code. Then I'll bring to council the options as to whether they want to rent it, how they want to go about it. There are certain options but you need to know the state of the house based on appraiser and the safety aspect of it. And that will come to you in the next regular council meeting. So that's how to deal with the second property. There's a process to be followed in each one of them, and it has legal advice to follow each one of them, because it's property ownership and it can be very dicey if you don't follow the rules. It's very, I mean, I learned a lot. I mean, I didn't even know that.
We are not technically the owners though. We are the owners, but any above and beyond taxes, we still have to reimburse the previous owner.
Taxes and legal fees.
Yeah, and administration costs and everything else. Any funds left over still have to go to are we the actual owner then? Like we have
The
the
one that was sold?
both.
The one that was sold, we have to transfer title.
Yeah.
And then, then what is left in the bank account, we've opened up a separate bank account. The balance has to go to the original owner of the place.
Okay, and in the second property?
We have to
is-
make a determination as to whether we're going to own it, whether we're going to lease it, whether we're going to rent. There are so many things.
Well, you're still an owner if you're leasing it out. What I mean is the person that owned it that hasn't paid the arrears, they're still entitled to the value of the property minus the back taxes, costs, administration, all the rest. So they're still technically the owner. We're just forcing a sale. So that
title has
person would
not
still,
changed hands.
No, it hasn't changed.
so that owner would still be paying power, anything else to keep it pipes from freezing, all the rest.
Unless
Or
there's
they're not.
renters in that property,
Yeah.
and the renters are wondering, who do they pay rent to now?
I talked to
Do they
them.
pay the rent to the town?
I
Or do
talked to
they pay
them.
the-
I talked to them.
Okay.
I talked to them. I told them to hold off on paying any monies to anybody.
Okay.
And so we are in this limbo time. The only people that can make that decision as to how the property moves forward is council. And council has to have the informed decision, legal decisions, legal background, and you have the opportunity to make that decision at a regular council meeting. You have to decide, you want to own it, what do you want to do with the property? And I've been in touch with the owner and I've talked to her several times. And today she gave us access to her place for safety codes, to go in Superior. So Superior went there at 5 o'clock today. Why are you laughing?
Well, I can't believe they just let the property go. It wasn't that. I drove
Yeah,
by.
yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't look like it's,
I know, and
why don't they just put it on the market and sell it?
yeah, the original owner. Yeah, there's something,
Yeah.
but people are people, right?
But going back to the
Mm.
tax sale,
Mm.
the last time we did this, I checked into it, and they did do a public auction, live public auction
Uh-huh.
in the
In the
foyer.
foyer.
And the CAO, Larry Barron, did the auction, and there was nobody that made any bids. So this was the process that was followed, it was live.
I just think that maybe we can elaborate on it and learn from it, where I do think that if, if more people knew, maybe we would have had a few more attendees, maybe you would have had another bid and we could have finished up both of them. But there's a lot of people, I mean, I did talk to every real estate person in town, and nobody knew about, like, I mean,
It
even.
was pretty big. I mean, I saw that ad for three weeks, I think it ran.
Can't miss it.
Well,
And
that's it, I
that's
mean,
what-
if you read the paper, yes.
Well,
But the only other thing, we have an electronic sign, we have a
Yeah.
website, we have other means that we can advertise things by.
Because not everybody reads
We
the
do have a
paper.
In the ad, did it
Not
have
everybody
a
reads the
lot
paper,
plan,
right?
or did it have the municipal address?
did happen, did have it.
You have the plans, the
Yeah,
block plans,
because
and the address. Yeah, we got everything.
That's how I knew where they were.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the only other thing I thought was if we're doing an auction, I mean, every time that there's an auction in our area, there's a sign up that says auction, right? So, I mean, it wouldn't have been very hard to go that extra mile, but I mean, we don't have a policy in place to do that, but maybe going forward, we can consider that.
Oh, do you need a policy? We've got BNJ.
Oh, yeah, big time, and it's,
No, but it's not enough. I don't think it's very fair. We're selling a tax sale. It's a municipal property. I mean, the people that are losing their homes, I mean, we really have the opportunity, we have, all I'm saying is that we should be advertising it a little bit better than we did.
The county goes through this every year.
I'm
And
sure every
puts-
county does. I'm sure every
And
municipal.
there are many pieces of property that are on tax sale every year. People look for these things because they want to buy the tax sale things. So, I think we've pretty well followed it.
We're good?
Question for you, Mr. Smockville?
Yes, sir.
You're including did you know that,
Yeah.
educational
Good,
clause here.
yes.
The third paragraph refers to Town of Hyperion's Municipal Inspection Report number 12 states that council must not interfere with any matters involving town employees.
Yeah.
This is consistent with et cetera, et cetera. I'm sorry, has council interfered with employees, or is council currently interfering with employees? Is this just an FYI in general?
I don't want to go into specifics.
No, I'm not asking
Yeah,
for
but,
names or yes. What I'm saying is, one of your responses can be, yes, Quentin, someone has interfered with an employee.
There's been issues.
Okay. Huh.
And I guess what I'm trying to do with this, I'm struggling. My role is very clear as a CEO. Number 2 of my job responsibility is to provide advice. It's a legislated role. How do I provide the advice in a way that is not antagonistic? I struggle with that. If I send you email, we could end up into an email battle. I don't want that. I want us to have a very cordial understanding of the MGA, because as I bring the sections, at least you reflect on them, so it's not antagonistic. So for example, when I say email meetings, okay, when you send an email, the procedure bylaw is very clear. You want something to either, it's an inquiry or it's an inquiry to administration. Or you send an email to administration to put something on the agenda. But you end up seeing council members sending emails to themselves, right? And then it starts off with a discussion. So what happens is that discussion then robs off the public from listening to the debate and the independence and the impartiality of thoughts, which is what the whole democratic process is about. But we're not aware sometimes. So when you send an email to everybody else and CC the CEO, what's the intent? You're not supposed to have those kinds of town business discussions. It's better to put an RFD, have it in a public discussion, or ask of an inquiry of the administration. But we don't know that sometimes. The second one that I said, recording of minutes, very clear, section 208, is the administration that takes minutes. So when you go into in-camera, you make a motion, you take the minutes. When you're done, invite administration to come in, take the minutes, and then you're out again. They are very minute things that you're not aware, right? The third section that I talked about, you may not know this very well. What was it? George Carl's, did you read that municipal magazine that George Carl? I mean, it's very, very clear. I don't know what the responsibility is when council and town staff get into all kinds of discussions. Now, what happens is that the town staff then becomes at risk, because I can exercise the authority to reprimand and then or get rid of the staff. But then there's nothing I can do with a council member. Your sanctioning is amongst you as colleagues. I have not, but then the employee is at risk because somebody has had a conversation and it's created up. And when these things happen, they create a lot of untangling difficulties for administration. It takes months and months to overturn the difficulty that has been created by administration and governance mingling. You can't tell where it's coming from. But I don't want to give specifics, but I'm just saying that it's there are 2,600 people in the municipality. They want services provided. Any decision from us that impedes us from making those decisions on behalf of the people robs them off from the service. Then we have to think, we have to solve minute things instead of gearing our energies towards serving people. So that's a generality. So I thought if I had a section like this, sometimes I'll bring it up and then just talk about it in generality, not pointing fingers or trying to be accusatory towards anybody. But it gives me a chance to exercise my legislated advisory role for council. So that's why I have it here. I don't know whether it makes sense.
Found your article. Council protocol.
Who talks to whom?
Very interesting.
Any other discussion?
The last one, audits, the audit. So on the 28th, we need to have the audit done, right? Because on May 1st, we have to send the information out. I haven't talked to Kerry yet, normally we may want to have an hour in camera with the auditors before they come into public discussion, so that anything, questions that you need to ask is not lost in the part. Would you want that? 'Cause I know that sometimes council is, somebody's working at 7 or coming in at 7, but if they come at 6 o'clock and give us about an hour or 45, 30 minutes, and then we can ask questions. Is that something that you would prefer that I do before the regular council meeting, and then they can present to the public?
Well, I think it's a good thing if you have the information beforehand, so you understand what the issues are and what you need to address.
And there's some issues that are in-camera issues anyways, that they may want to talk to you, they want to have full audience. So is this something that you want me to pursue? But it's 6 o'clock working for everybody, I'm not sure.
What day is that?
It will be on the 28th of April. That's a regular council meeting.
April 28th?
Yeah.
I won't be here.
You'll be here? Oh.
Is there, what kind of things might come up in that review? I'm just trying to think of what we do with some of the other committees, and they always are just brought up right in the main meeting.
It's your choice. I mean, but normally the management letter is a confidential issue, right? They're not explosive things. It's for council to ask questions that border on what's observed in the management letter, and it's your choice if you don't want to have an income.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of in some of the other ones, I can't think of in-camera things that we need to discuss, but maybe there is, I don't know.
Maybe not. I can organize it just for regular council.
Have you ever seen the management letters from the other committees? Like Department of Housing, do you ever see the management letter?
Well, we get the audit, yeah, we get the letter saying everything is good, and
No, there's
and then there's a listing of what they want to change or what you
management
recommend.
letters, usually private between the auditors and the mayor or the chair only, not the committee as a whole.
Oh, okay, then maybe I haven't seen them, that's, might be why.
What we'll do with management letters in this case is, the process is that the auditors come up with findings, and then they give the management an opportunity to respond. So you find the auditor's observation, management response, and then we give copies to each member of council. Now, then the management letter is considered to be a sensitive information, and then you go in camera, you have to ask more questions, get some better understanding. That's normally the process. I don't know what you advise, so I'll take direction from you.
Well, because sometimes the auditor will make a recommendation and management will say, no, we're not implementing that. And then they give the reasons why they won't implement it. So it's a response. You don't necessarily always have to say, yes, we're going to do this. So you do, you have the option, and then you explain to the board, well, okay, this is why this is not a good idea, or this is why we can't implement it, or this is why we can implement it, but it's going to have this ramification. So.
But I guess I'm just, when we look at what goes into camera, right? Legal, land, labor, what's the other one?
Legal and personnel, that's it.
Well, that's
No,
labor,
that's
right?
not
There
it.
was the 4 Ls.
Legal and personnel,
No,
that's
that's not it.
There's more to that.
At the last
That's privacy.
AUMA,
Yeah.
there was, Brownlee actually gave
And more
things,
serious of this.
what constitutes a meeting and a bunch of other things, and he said, in camera, and I have it on my computer at work, but in camera is not only land, legal, and personnel, they gave quite a long list of
Yeah,
other things that are in camera.
So maybe let's play by ear. Let me get whatever I can call you, and then we can decide, because
Yeah,
you know the
because it might only half an hour. might
Yeah,
be
yeah,
adequate.
exactly. You know the process, so I will work with Linda. Is that okay? Okay. The other one that I think it breaks my heart, council. And I think possibly this is my shortest relationship I've ever had with an employee. And I'm heartbroken.
Relationship.
Because our executive secretary is leaving next week, Friday. Yeah.
Next week?
Yeah, Friday. And she's been such an excellent worker in a short time in terms of the personality that she's brought to the table, her work ethic. She's just been a good person. And so it's with great pain that we have to wish her goodbye.
It's here too.
I'm okay.
You can't. You can't, you're not allowed.
You're not allowed, yeah.
You're not allowed
she's
to.
She's going to the town of Westlock, and we wish her the best in all her endeavors.
Oh, look it. Thank you, everybody. It was wonderful. Thank you, Kelly, especially. You're great.
So do you know any good other administrative secretaries around there that can help out?
The secretary, executive secretary, no recording secretary.
Well, you're
Sorry,
good at it. You
just
can catch
overwhelmed.
those motions on the fly. You do it well.
Yeah.
What's Brian gonna do now?
I know.
He's gonna have to make his own.
I make a motion to extend the meeting past 11 o'clock.
This is so good.
It's too late.
Or did we vote on accepting the CAO stuff?
No,
We have a motion on the floor, and we have to deal with that, and it's after 10.
That one's not right. But we won't take.
It shouldn't take much longer. But Councillor
Yes, it
Andrews is
is.
correct.
10 on the bot button
Who's
on my
that?
digital.
So. Anyways, so motion on the floor. Accept CAO's report. All those in favor? Carried. And yeah, even if the international clock world atomic clock on the cell phone says it's 10, we started with that clock and that's the one we finished with. So
So we get to finish early.
council information, including correspondence, checklisting, you received all of that?
My motion's on the floor.
No, your motion's not,
Because it was
the
after
motion
10.
cannot be made until we come out of the current motion. Now you can make a motion, but it's
Okay,
after
sorry.
10 o'clock and it's gotta be done before 10.
Well,
Yeah,
it
it's
was when I made the motion.
Wasn't.
So hard
Sorry.
to do anything here, isn't it?
Okay, make a motion that council receive the check listing for council from March 11th
Thank you.
to 24th, 2015 for information.
Councillor.
Quick question to administration, when staff are traveling for training, do you have a policy or guideline that they travel together?
I don't think so.
Not like council, where it's highly encouraged that we travel together? That is something maybe that administration could look forward next time.
I don't know whether we have I can look into that.
I know that there is a policy and that it is encouraged that council travel together to minimize expenses. And I noticed that there's a couple members that have
Okay.
employees that were traveling
Okay.
and both submitted expenses, so
Okay.
just a cost savings opportunity.
That's fair. Thank you.
Another question was, do you know when the last time we audited our TELUS expenses?
Teles expenses.
Yeah, our telecommunications. I noticed our bill's $3,600 a month. With previous employment, I was requested to do an audit, and I found we had rotary phones from 1972 we were paying for. It's amazing what you can find when you actually audit it. Rick Conrad, contact with TELUS, just ask him to break it down.
What's his name?
Rick Conrad, out of Grand Prairie.
Okay.
Really nice guy. We did a full thing. It's amazing what you find.
Okay.
And then you start analyzing all the lines you don't need, or can I get a PRI, or
Okay.
you can do a lot of cost savings.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good. Yeah, that's fair.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor for? And Councillor Hunter.
Make a motion that council approve the Town of High Prairie FCSS board members, Councilor Rose and Deputy Mayor Danaka to attend the Northwest Family Community Sports Services Spring Meeting 2015 to be held in High Prairie for 29th and 30th at the day's end.
Discussion?
I did attach the, I think somewhere in my report, on the back of it, the agenda.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to look at it.
I just wanted to say that I will only be attending the first day.
It's fine. Debbie will take both.
I think it'll everywhere.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? And Canadian Housing and Renewal Association, page 207. Councillor Hunter.
Make a motion that council approve the attendance of Councilor Panasic at the 2015 National Housing and Homeless Congress in Winnipeg from April 28th to May 1st, with all costs being reimbursed by the Heart River Housing, which means Mr. Panasic will also not be here for that council meeting.
Oh, really?
Discussion?
If he prefers Winnipeg over us.
Winnipeg, yay. Councillor Danaka.
I just have a question regarding what is the benefit for you attending as opposed to Heart River attending and updating us on what happened there?
Heart River Housing, the whole board goes, they're at ASHA right now. That's one of the text messages I was just responding to. They're all at it's called an ASHA conference right now. And then they're gonna be going to the other one. What's the benefit? It's the same thing that comes with most of these conferences, right? You go, you network with people, you talk with people. You might see something that somebody else doesn't pick up on. Part of it is getting to know the board and meeting with them on a social basis. That's the networking part of it, right? You don't get that.
Is this the same one that you attended last year, or was that the ASHA one?
I went to both last year.
Oh, okay.
Last year, the CHRA was in Edmonton. This year, it's Winnipeg, and I don't know where it goes next year, or the year after, but.
Can you tell me how does this work with Heart River Housing? Meeting honorarium. The town will pay the cost, but they're reimbursed by Heart River Housing. So all of the meetings that you attend for Heart River Housing, the town doesn't pay for you to be a representative?
No, the way it works is that the town pays me, but Heart River Housing pays the town.
Only for conferences, though.
No, for everything, all the time.
Really?
I've talked with Kelly about changing that, and he says, we have a policy that we're doing it that way. So it's fine, but everybody else on that committee, they don't go through their town. They just work right with Heart River Housing. We're the only ones, and apparently there was some history with another counselor that was double dipping at some point, and that's why we're doing it that way. But most of the other councils, they just get paid right from Heart River Housing. That doesn't go to the town in any way, shape, or form.
So that just becomes part of the requisition, the cost of the board.
Yeah, and then the requisition gets covered by the MDs mostly. We pay like 5% of the requisition cost as compared to the county of Greenview, which pays, or the MD of Greenview, which pays, I think like 55 or 60%, and then the MD of Big Lakes and the other MDs cover most of the costs.
So how many are going to this one from Heart River Housing? Because this is not their main conference, is it? ASHA is their main conference.
Well, they consider both of them their main conferences.
Both of
These are
these.
the two that they go to. All of council, well, anybody that can is going. There's always a few people like
Yeah.
me. I'm not at Asha this weekend because I've got other commitments for work and stuff, but they're all there. And most of them are going to Winnipeg if they can.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. And one come up here I know is a favorite of the mayor's, E.W. Pratt High School graduation ceremony, page 209. And
Make a motion that council approve the attendance of the mayor at the E.W. Pratt School Gymnasium on Saturday, May 9th, 2015. The E.W. Pratt graduation ceremony to deliver a message of congratulations to students of 2015.
discussion.
Yeah, I do have one on this one. I was quiet. I noticed that the letter of the invitation was dated December 2nd, 2014. It was received December 16th, 2014. And today's April 14th. So January, February, March, April, 4 months later, it makes the agenda. Just curious if it just wasn't a rush item, it was just put to the side for now.
Oh, do you, I have no, my mind doesn't, it's not.
I was doing some filing and
You
it
found it?
surfaced.
Okay, so it might have been lost for a while. Okay.
Oh, was in December, you came in jail, oh, I see, the transitional period. Yeah, because you were not here in December. Yeah.
So has anybody responded to them?
Nope. There's been
After the
no,
motion,
So they didn't,
not yet. They don't know you're
they don't know you're
attending
coming,
yet.
but now we can send it to them that you're coming.
okay.
Yeah.
It's not good. Okay.
You can tell them tomorrow when we have lunch with them.
We're meeting with them tomorrow. Oh, yes, you are.
That's school
Yeah.
luncheon
You,
tomorrow.
you tell them?
Well, that's Holy Family, isn't it?
Both.
Oh, it's both.
What is it tomorrow?
At
Okay.
luncheon.
Is the luncheon
Oh,
for
that
the two
invitation?
school divisions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, regarding the joint youth, or the,
No, just an information
Oh.
session. They invited us for
Wanna
lunch
come?
at the tech center.
I'm going to Edmonton tomorrow. Come back Friday.
We'll tell them to postpone.
All right.
Further discussion, none? All those in favor? Carried. And down the written verbal reports and committees, page 11, Mayor Cox, you're up.
I have my report there. If you have any questions? I will receive the information.
I just have a question. This splash park, are, they want to, is it the same sports complex?
It's a citizens group that is looking to forward the next project, and they would take over theoretically
But
the
different
sports
people.
complex using that format.
Is that
It'd be different people just taking over the society and moving on with it. Same kind of concept, they build it, we inherit it, and
I mean, this is an aside, but the splash park is even more intricate than anything else. It's not just put up hoses and go, like, I mean, there is.
Yeah, and I think that that is certainly something to be involved in the planning stage, to say, I don't think we can do this, or we will do it if this is, if money is still raised, or something like that, because I think that that is something that the recreation board is going to have to really look at. So perhaps the MD will say, no, they're not interested, and if they do, I don't think the town can afford it either. So.
Okay, that was my only question.
I had just one quick comment, and I talked with the mayor about it, is having gone for a swim, I noticed the state of the disrepair of things in the pool. And I'm just hoping that they keep on that and don't let it get into too bad of a state, so that it's something like the airport where it was in really bad repair, to keep on it.
just before you start, I did go immediately and talk to Lori. The website's updated now, and I told her basically what I had said to you, is if you're gonna have a website, you either keep it updated or put a banner on saying, phone this number if you want real information. And she said, no, we'll update it, we'll update it. The lockers are, it's been over a year. And it's coming up to the recreation board meeting. The lockers either get the people who manufactured the lockers to do something about it or get new lockers. Like, it's been over a year. This is not satisfactory. And the shower, that's the grout work or the handles and that.
Yeah.
And they are working on, again, getting the tenders in for the plumbing repair, and that will be coming to our meeting next week, I believe, also. So there's activity on every one of those things that you have.
There's different ideas on how the shower should run. One of our contractors feels that we should put one of the infrared sensors, so there's no buttons to push, no nothing to touch. You walk up, it kicks on, shoots out the water, you walk away, it shuts off automatically. I like the push button system with the stainless steel wall that you see with just the raindrop shower from overhead. The Triplex Leisure Center in Spruce Grove uses that, and that's a very busy place, very active, I love it. There's a lot of activity on it.
Yeah, my
What do
only
they do for
concern is
water
with
temperature?
that hole in the wall, the integrity of the wall is gonna have water getting in there and mold, and
When
then you get other issues.
Yeah, when it was constructed, they didn't put separate water turn-off taps for the piping, so it comes down through the cinder blocks and straight out. In order to turn off the water, you turn off the water for half the showers, and it's not the showers for the men's, it's some of the men, some of the ladies, and some of the family. It's all intermixed. It was not plumbed with forethought, nor was it designed really, in my opinion, that well. There's a lot of issues at the pool. There really are.
Oh, that's good, I just,
Do you think maybe sometimes we should build another pool, and then we would be able to fix it all, because we would be better at building it the second time around?
That's right.
you learn lots.
What was your other comments that was specific? Before Linda
Lockers,
butted in.
shower, something else,
The website and that was
the
it.
website.
Scheduling was an issue I heard over the Easter week. That was not appreciated.
And yet they told us that they were getting more people in there to
Oh,